to the cloud. Okay, so we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna be giving you a ton of information. I'm also gonna post this on Google Classroom with all the links, so that way you can always come back and reference this, okay? But the biggest thing is finding our viable path, okay? There we go. So here's our agenda. We're gonna talk about what your options are, what viable path options means and what your options are. We'll talk about quickly the SAT, ACT, some timelines that you can be looking at, and then we're gonna be closing up. So we shouldn't take too long, but it's just a lot of information we need to go through, okay? So first, does anybody understand what a viable plan is? We know we say it a lot, but does anybody understand what it is? Kind of, we got, okay. So a viable plan is really a personalized, flexible, because it can always change, an attainable plan for your future in order for you to be prosperous, happy, and have independence, okay? Does everybody want to move out of their house and get their own place? No? Okay, who wants to move out? Okay, who wants to have their own car? Okay, so we're going to be talking about what that takes, okay? And you're going to be learning a lot more about it in econ as well. But we really want you to have a personalized plan for you. Not every plan is going to look the same. Everybody's plan is going to be different. But when you leave high school, it is our hope you have a diploma in one hand and a map in the other, because you know what you're going to be doing after high school, okay? Map is my action plan. And that can always change, but you want to always have some kind of goals and some kind of plan, right? So when you're thinking, Terrell, you okay? Okay, you're talking about your plan. We'll give you a couple minutes to talk about your plan in a second. But when you're thinking about your viable plan, you really want to think about what you love. What are your interests? What are your preferences? And we're going to be doing that in the future in DT and in advisory, going through your RIASEC to find out what really interests you to help you with your path. And then you want to think of what employers need, right? What is out there that you can get hired for, right? If you want to be, let me think of like one of those phone ladies back in the day that connects you to somebody that you're calling, that doesn't exist anymore. So you can't be that. Does that make sense? So you want to think of what is out there that employers want. And then you're going to think about what you need. Do you like what's your salary? How do you want to work? Do you want to work Monday through Friday? Do you want to work weekends? What is your job quality and your life quality? What do you want? And then what can you be paid for? Because we want to work so that way we can get paid to live the life that we want to live. Yeah? You okay? Like if you want to live a life and you want to own a house and you want to own a car and you want to have a family and you want to go on vacations, that's not all free, right? So you're going to have to be able to have a path to lead you to get paid enough to be able to live that life that you want for yourself. Make sense? So that being said, I know we went over this last year if you were here, but you want to be self-sufficient. That's what it's called, to be independent, to be able to pay for your own things, to be able to go out for dinners and still be able to pay your rent and your bills. So this is the amount of income required to meet your basic needs. So this is shelter and food. You guys okay over there? Keep on hearing something. Okay. So to be able to live in San Diego and be self-sufficient. So this is just paying basic necessities, shelter and food. This is not Netflix. This is not vacations. This is basic needs. You need to make at least $17.65 an hour or almost $37,000 a year. Okay, so just remember that when you're thinking about what you want for your life. If you want to be able to afford Netflix, if you want to be able to afford dinners out and vacations, you need to make a lot more than this. Does that make sense? Okay. So why is planning your viable plan so important? Is so you have an action plan that you can lead yourself to self-sufficiency and independence. Are you going to get there right at graduation? Probably not. Are you going to get there in 5 years? Maybe. but it will lead you to it. Everybody's path, you just have to keep moving towards that self-sufficiency and independence. Does that make sense? So how do you get there? How does one person get to this? Everybody thought, I know when I was in high school, when I was your age, I thought, okay, well, I'm gonna finish high school, and then I'm gonna go get my 4-year degree, and then there's a career, and I'm gonna be successful and make all the money I want. Is that true? No, because I guarantee when I graduated college, I was living with my mom because I couldn't support myself. Okay, so this is the factory, this is what people think is going to happen, but that's not really reality. It kind of goes all over the place, right? There are many different paths. No one path is the same. Your path is going to be different than your path. They kind of go all over the place. So if you look here, you graduate high school. Maybe you go get an industry certification first. That way you can start working right away. You get your industry certification HVAC. Those HVAC guys make a lot of money, and they can do it within 6 months of graduation. So then you get your industry certification, and you realize, you know what, I want to start my own business. I'm gonna go to a 2-year. And then maybe I'm gonna go to a 4-year. Okay, or maybe you leave high school and you go straight to a 2-year or straight to a 4-year. Or you go to an apprenticeship. There's all kinds of paths and they continue to move and continue to change, okay? Make sense? So now I'll give you just a couple minutes at your table. I want you to think of successful. I don't really like that word because success is in your own, like, I would really like independence and self-sufficiency. Like, what do you think that looks like at graduation? At graduation, I was like, I'm going to college and this is gonna be awesome because I'm gonna move on to success. What does that look like 5 years later? So after graduation, I thought I was gonna get a job. I didn't. And then what does it look like 10 years later? Okay, so think about it, talk within your table, just take a few minutes to think about what do you want to look like at graduation 5 years and 10 years down the road. I can't really go fast. Okay, guys, start wrapping it up. About 30 seconds left. Okay, start wrapping it up. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Does anybody want to share out? Ooh, we got a hand over here. Take her out.
Oh, I have, is that Carl's? Oh, okay, I have to, but that one I remember. It's hard. When does someone have to adjust the straps?
I expect to either be in like an A or be in the FBI. The stuff like learn like to like the police colleges and stuff. Talking to like getting connections with the FBI, talking to people, right? And you know, applying for the job.
That you want to be, but in this class, we're going to figure out what those paths look like. And there's not just one path to get to be an FBI agent. There's multiple paths. So that's what I want you guys to really think about. Did you want to share?
All right, so like after high school, I want to go to Atlanta to go to Morehouse under an academic scholarship called Honor Scholars. And then like I want to get set up with a paid internship for like my major, which is the cinematography, film creation. And then see what happens after high school. So yeah, don't forget to holler at us down.
Okay. My plan for high school, yeah, I don't really know what to say exactly, but well, I plan. Well, I wanted to go to San Jose because my parents told me about it one day. No, I told you, but I want to learn about computer science. You know, I was a little kid, and I don't know, technology is kind of like roughly in, and then now I want to just like make my own program. I like games, college, computers, codes, and then for my career, just kind of make my own game, sell it on some store like Steam or something, then get it on.
It's not always that, right? It's not always like I'm going to do this, 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 and this. It'll take you for loops that you never even know. Okay, we got somebody sharing out over here.
So Corel has reminded me of something, and along with our rival paths, there's multiple different ways to break into different industries. So in my job search, one of the job postings I found was for as an educator with the FBI. So I could have applied to go and work at Quantico as an FBI educator. That's an option in a different path into that. So I don't know, I just want to acknowledge it. I thought it was cool. Draw this triggered my memory. So you don't have to take the most common path. You can break your way in. Just think about what you would like to contribute to society, where you would like to contribute. That's kind of interesting.
And everybody thinks FBI agents are like special teams and all that, but there's other educators, right? My path was kind of similar. I went to high school, then I went to 4-year, and I was like, I graduated with a criminal justice degree because I wanted to be an FBI agent. But then I went home and couldn't get a job. And I lived with my mom, and I was really like, just like, I can't do this anymore, and I found an opportunity to move to Korea and teach English. So I did that for 3 years in Asia, and I really got my love for education, because if you ask any of my high school friends if I would be standing in front of you in a high school as a counselor or a teacher, they would have laughed in your face, because they're like, you can't do that. But that kind of started my love for education. I came home, I worked at a college and realized I wanted to be on the other side of it. So then I went and got my master's in counseling. So like, my path, if you asked me in high school, I'd never be here. But because I was taking opportunities and putting myself in uncomfortable spaces, I ended up here. Make sense? Okay.
Kind of bigger example. I started off at UCSD in bioengineering. 3 years ago, I was set on going to get my PhD and doing research for the rest of my life. But I did research and I did not like it. And so I ended up switching into international business. But I'm still not sure what I'm going to do. I'm planning on teaching English in South Korea, but I don't have that super straight plan. So sometimes it's okay to kind of wander around and try to figure it out. Of course, always have some sort of a plan to go off of, but I chose international business because I can do many things with this. I can go into law later if I want to, or do many different things with it. So it's okay if you don't have that straight, I'm going to do this, and this. And if you do, it's okay if that's not always what works out, because plans change. Sometimes you like things, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you get an internship and you're like, oh, this is not what I want to do for the rest of my life. And that's completely okay too.
Yeah, and that's exactly why you do an internship, so you could figure out if you love it. Okay, awesome. Thanks for sharing, everybody.
Okay, so that leads us into what are our options? I heard a lot of really, really great responses of different plans that we all have, and so we want to just kind of flush those out and see where we can go. Stranding kind of already talked about some of these, but we have options for apprenticeship programs. So you can get into like electrician, apprenticeship, plumbing, HVAC, all those that the advantage to apprenticeship programs is that you can get paid while learning and then get your certification at the end and go right into it. There's the 4-year university route, which we're gonna really dive into. The 2-year community college route, which is gonna be a little bit later into the school year when those applications go, and then also industry certifications. So those are really cool because you can kind of go at your own pace and go into the industry. It's a little bit similar to apprenticeship programs, but one example that we have on here, since you're gonna get this slide deck, is the Google IT certification on Coursera. So you can go on there, take classes at your own pace and get a certification at the end that you can then go into an industry.
Yeah, and you can do that. You can do that now too. So if you want to utilize your afternoons when that's open up, you can contact me and I can get you into that Google IT certification or any other Coursera courses. Right. Okay. Perfect. So right now we're going to go into the different types of colleges. So we have the public universities. So that's like the one I went to, UCSD and SDSU as well. They're typically 4-year bachelor's degree. And this is usually a cheaper option than the private route. Private, you can also get a 4-year bachelor degree. They're generally smaller class sizes. So you may be able to get to know your professor a little bit better, but they're also generally more expensive. However, there's also a chance that they will offer more scholarships because it is more expensive. You could apply to more of those scholarships and kind of subsidize the cost a bit. And then lastly is the community college. So those are where you can get your 2-year associate's degree. And some of them are even offering like 4-year degrees, right? That's like a new thing that they're starting to do as well. And this is a really affordable option. So it's usually a lot less per unit. And you can go in, get your 2 years, and then switch into a 4-year university. Or you can go straight into the workforce with your 2-year associate's degree. So plenty of options, all different ways to get there, and all great options. So with all these different options, I think you're probably wondering, how do I choose? There's a lot of decisions to be made, and
it's kind of a really exciting part of your life right now because you have all these different places you could go. So a way is that you can start thinking about what's important to you. What kind of major would you want to go into? If you really like computers and video games and that kind of stuff, so maybe you major in computer science, or if you really like animals, maybe go into a school that's more hands-on, kind of thing like that. Also, extracurricular activities is something important to consider if you're an athlete and really like playing sports and want to go into that. You're going to want to look at a school that maybe you can participate in those activities. Size, if you go to a really large school like UCSD, I think it's like at, like, I don't know, 30,000 students. So in some of my lecture halls, there was 300 students, and I always sat with someone different, and I didn't know the professor. So that's something that you have to consider too. Cost, really important as well. The diversity of the school is something you should consider as well. If it's reflective of you and has the same kind of values that you value. Distance from home. Do you want to go out of state? Do you want to go in state? If you go in state, then you're eligible for the Cal Grant. But if you go out of state and are farther from home, then it's usually more expensive. And then admission criteria, right? Whether or not you qualify or are a competitive candidate to go to that school.
Yeah, also really think about that distance. Like, do you want to be close to your parents or do you want to be farther away? Because if you're far away, it's going to be like a plane or a train or a bus ticket to get home every time you want to come home. You know, like when I went to school, I wanted to go away from my mother, but I also wanted to be close to her just in case she needed me. She never needed me. But I was only like an hour and a half, 2 hours away. But that's what I chose because I thought she would need me. She drove so quick out of my school after dropping me off. It wasn't even funny. So she did not miss me at all, but I thought she would. So that's why I went to the school I went to.
Okay, so four-year college application requirements. It's important for you guys to remember that every college is going to be different, but here are some of the things that most colleges, or well, a variety of colleges will require. They're going to require your transcripts, your extracurricular activities. Some will require a portfolio, leadership positions, your resume, letter of recommendations. These are really important. And SAT, ACT. This varies based on schools. We know that for CSUs and UCs, they aren't accepting the SAT, ACTs this year. So that's exciting. We're gonna go and talk about University of California, UCs. Show of hands, how many of you are interested in UCs? Yeah, okay, a good amount of you. That's good to see. So with the UCs, the applications are actually already open. They open August 1st. So all of you guys that raise your hands, if you haven't started them, you can start those whenever you want. It's important for you guys to remember the admission requirements when you're going into applying to these UCs, that they're approaching this in a very holistic view. Okay, so they're not just looking at your grades, they're looking to make sure you've completed your A through G courses, you have a 3.0 GPA, you've participated in a variety of extracurricular activities, and your personal insight questions. The PIQs, what's important to remember with these is that they are kind of looking for things that they can't just see on your transcript or your resume. Okay, this is their chance to get to know who you are and things that they don't just see on paper. Does that sound good? Yeah, okay, so there is a $70 application fee, and these fees may, they may be waived at times. And then the submission window, it starts in November 1st, and the deadline is November 30th. Okay, an important thing to remember is November 30th, that date falls during Thanksgiving break. And I'm sure none of you guys really want to be working on your applications during Thanksgiving break, right? So we are highly, highly recommending that you finish them the Friday before, which is November 19th. That way you guys can have a nice, fun, relaxing Thanksgiving break free of any college application worries, okay? Does that sound good?
That goes for all applications.
Yeah.
Let's keep November 19th in your head, okay?
November 19th. That way you guys don't have to worry about it at all during Thanksgiving break. Now, so CSUs, there's 23 CSUs. How many of you guys are interested in CSUs? Yeah.
It's like SDSU.
Yeah, SDSU.
San Marcos.
Go Aztecs, yeah, okay. So for the CSUs, these start October 1st. You guys have about a month before this application opens. The admission requirements are
3.0 or higher for A through G courses, okay, just for the A through G courses. There is another $75 application fee, and these fees, a fee waiver may apply for these, and then again, November 19th, even though the deadline is November 13th, we're really pushing that you guys get those in on the 19th. And, oops.
Something to keep in mind for the application fees, that's per college. So if you're confused, it's $70 per university. Okay, if you qualify for the fee waiver, that's gonna be ingrained in the UC application and the CSU application. It's gonna automatically tell you if you're qualified. You qualify for 4. Okay, so you can apply to 4 if you qualify for the fee waiver. So if you come to us and you're just applying to SDSU, but you qualify for that fee waiver, I'm gonna tell you to add 3 more schools because you get them for free. Make sense?
Yeah, and so for the common application, there are over 900 schools, as you guys can see. A lot, yeah, you guys have a lot of options for this, and you apply through the common application and you can apply to any of those schools. 900 participating across the country. And so for the admission requirements, they vary because there's so many different schools and so many different requirements, but usually 2 recommendation letters, or is it always, or anyway, it's always 2 letters of recommendation, and there's going to be personal statement essays. So the application fees range from $25 to $90, and again, fee waiver may apply, and the deadlines vary by college just because there are so many options.
Any questions on these applications so far? There's a lot, I know.
Mhm.
No? Okay.
All right, so the Western Undergraduate Exchange application allows you to apply for schools that are out of the state of California and they assist you with the financial aid cost of attending any of the universities in the qualifying states. So why is this important? So when you fill out the FAFSA, you qualify for what's called the Cal Grant. Right, so you only qualify for the Cal Grant if you're going to a university or college in California. If you decide to go to a college outside of California, then the cost of tuition is higher for you. So through the Western Undergraduate Exchange Program, they help you with that called the cost of tuition.
Yeah, so like, let's say you're applying for Northern Arizona University, okay, because there's colleges in every state. We're not gonna be able to tell you every college because there's a ton of them. But let's say you apply to Northern Arizona University and they're a WUI school, okay? So that means they're a participating school under this Western Undergraduate Exchange. Let's say their in-state tuition for anybody that lives in Arizona is $10,000, okay? That's in-state, but we live out of state. So their out-of-state tuition, let's say it's $20,000. So anybody coming from out of state, they gotta pay $20,000, okay? If you go under the WUI, that means you pay about half of that. So you pay $15,000. So it's just reduced tuition for any of these participating schools. Does that make sense? Not all schools in these states are participating in WUI, but you can, I linked it down there. So you can take a look to see if that school is participating, okay?
All right, so just how there is a common application for private schools, it's kind of like your one-stop shop for private schools. The EDU Common Black College application is for HBCU schools. So this is one application that you can use to apply for multiple HBCU schools. The application fee is, yes.
I was just gonna say, so like the EU, so this, you apply for that, and like,
You have to choose the ones that you want to apply to, but yes, you fill out one application and you're able to apply to multiple. Yeah.
Same thing as Common App. You're not applying to all 900, you
No.
choose which ones.
okay, and this will be this, will apply to most of the ones.
Yeah.
Correct. Mhm.
Yeah, so this is just for HBCUs.
Mhm.
And it has a $20 application fee for all. So it's not for just for schools, pretty cool.
So $20 for multiple applications, correct? Fantastic. All right, so San Diego Community College District. So like we mentioned before, anyone interested in applying for the community colleges in San Diego. We're gonna be focusing on that in the fall because they don't have those strict deadlines that the four-year universities have. So to attend a community college, the first step is to submit an application. You don't get admitted and or denied like you do for a four-year. So it's a matter of completing all multiple steps of enrollment until you get that registration date and time for you to choose your classes. There is no application fee, so anyone can submit an application. And the most important part is that you finish and complete that multi-step process in order to be fully enrolled. Now, the community college, the San Diego Community College districts and all community colleges across California have a fantastic program called the Promise Program. The Promise Program guarantees 2 free years of community college if you are the first in your family to attend college, meaning your first generation. So that's a fantastic, fantastic program that allows you to start off your education at a 2-year and then either get a certificate program, an associate's degree, or later on transfer to a 4-year university.
Does everybody understand that free?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we already have some people in here that have already registered for City College. If you're taking, you took those college courses last year, or you're taking your business, you already completed step 1. Yeah. And then on top of that, this is for any of you guys that are thinking like certificate programs, trade programs, that's also gonna open up in the spring. There is San Diego Continuing Ed. So this is a great program. They'll come out and talk with us, but it's basically for career training. Okay, they provide over 70 different certification programs where you can learn new skills. You can complete this program in like 6 to 12 months or even less. There's some programs that are like 16 weeks to get a certification. And then you are job ready. They will help you find a job in your career. Does that make sense? So this is for shorter term, going out there to get a job. So some of these certifications, as you can see on the right, and I linked their brochure. So if this is something you're interested in, I linked on San Diego Continuing Ed, their actual website, and then their brochure that shows all of their certifications. But there's some really cool ones. If you're interested in automotive, you can get an automotive certificate and start working at Jiffy Lube as one of those quick service inspection techs, or you can do the body and paint tech. And this is within just a couple months, okay? If you're interested in business, they have a small business planning certificate so you can really learn how to create your own small business. They have project management certifications. I didn't list all of them under each category. I just list some really cool ones that I thought sounded awesome. Under healthcare, if you're looking at going to be a nurse or a doctor or something like that, you might want to think about getting a CNA, which is a certified nursing assistant certification, and you can get this at this program. And that was only 36 weeks, I believe. You can get your CNA and start working as a CNA while you're going to nursing school. A lot of nursing programs actually give you more points for their admissions if you already have your CNA. Okay, so it's a great pathway to go through. For hospitality, if we have any future chefs, there's a food prep certification, there's a chef 1, a chef 2, there's a bake shop. So if you're thinking about starting out your own bakery one day, this might be something you want to do. And then for infotech, there's desktop technician, there's security analyst, there's a ton of different certifications you can get in that field. And then for our trades, they have an awesome HVAC program. So that's heating, ventilation, air conditioner. You guys know those HVAC guys or girls? So they are, okay, can we stop the side combos? We're almost done. So these guys are the ones that come out if you have heating problems or AC problems. I talked to the guys over at City, and these guys were teaching the program, and they basically said they have never been without a job because there's such demand. And right now, all of the older guys that are running these programs are retiring, and there's not as many people to fill their shoes for these programs. So HVAC, plumbing, welding. You can do this program and start making $30, $40, $50 an hour right away. Yeah. See, I got their attention.
Yeah, that worked.
But my uncle's an HVAC guy. He is very well off. I have a few friends that are electricians and probably make $200,000 a year. It's a very, very good skill to have, and it's a good career, okay? So if you're like, if you're not thinking that you want to go to college, but you want to work with your hands, really think about some of these skilled trades. Okay, any questions on that? Okay, we're almost done, guys, almost done. And then we wanted to show you some other viable trade school options. Okay. I know we're all excited, we'll have some time to talk about this. So along with continuing ed, there are some other viable trade school options. So you can take a look, click on these links, check them out. Be wary about the cost for their programs. There are some private trade schools that will cost a lot more money than continuing ed that is free. Okay, so you can go to continuing ed, which is free, or you want to look into any of these other programs. Just be very careful about the cost. Okay, make sense? So yeah, definitely take a look at any of these if you're interested in them. And then I just want to end this because we gave you a lot of information. Please, if you think you want to go to college, please don't think because you don't have the GPA right now that you can't. There is a college out there for everyone, okay? There is a place for all of you. If it's not in college, it might be in a certification program, it might even be in the military. But there's a place for all you guys, okay? If you don't have a 3.0 GPA, please still try to apply to UCSD if that's what you want to do. Or you can go to community college route. Because if you go to, if your dream, if your dream is to go to UCSD and graduate, but you don't have the GPA because you didn't realize that until like just recently, you can always go to community college first. Once you go to community college, which is free for 2 years, your grades basically start over. Okay, so you can have the opportunity after 2 years to apply as a transfer student to UCSD, to your dream school. UCSD will only look at your community college transfer. They will not look at your high school transfer. So if that's you, if you decided that you really want to go, but you don't think you have the grades from freshman or sophomore year, start over in community college. And I will say, the acceptance rate as a transfer student is way higher than right now. Okay, UCSD is very, very, very competitive to get in. Maybe only 2 or 3% of people get in. But as a transfer student, that might jump up to 20, 25 people get it, 25% get in. Does that make sense? Okay. But in the United States in general, there's almost 6,000 different colleges. There's almost 2 million students enrolled in some sort of higher education, whether that's certificate program, 2-year, 4-year. So and all of these colleges have different requirements. That's why I'm saying you don't need a 3.0 to go to college. You could have a 2.0, you could have a 2.5. It's up to you, okay? Because there's a place for everybody. Because in California, if you're looking in California, there's 416 colleges, 265 private, 151 public, okay? So there's just a lot of opportunity, and I really want you guys to understand that there is a spot for each and every one of you somewhere. Make sense? Questions? Was there a question? Oh, okay, what's up? Of course. Yeah. Yeah, so you can always, if you go to community college, if you do really well, you're gonna want to work with your counselor, your transfer counselor at the community college level. Okay, you tell them where you want to go, and they will help you with that application process, just like we're helping you guys right now. And they will help you transfer. But basically, once you go to community college, your high school transcript, they might want it, but they're really looking at your college transcript because all colleges grow. High school is different. We're young, we're growing, but once you get into college, that's what they want to see. We'll see you at Princeton or Stanford in a couple years. Any other questions? Oh, that's okay. Yeah, this one's not very well.
Okay, so, right before that, pop quiz. Does anybody remember when the SAT school day is here at U3? Yeah? Ding, ding, ding. Yes, okay. We want to make sure that we remember that date, October 13th, because we're lucky enough where we can take the SAT here. And the comfortability of your own school. When I took it, I went to USD. I was very uncomfortable. It was really stressful. I had no support. but here you do. So make sure that you have that date in mind, you write it down, you study for it, and you try to do the best that you can. The cost is going to be $55, but we do have fee waivers if you're
After the
eligible.
school day, it's free if they want to apply for like a Saturday one.
Oh, gotcha. So the one here is free.
Yep.
Okay, well, there you go. And then there's also the ACT. So right here we have the dates and the register link. So when you get this PowerPoint, you can go ahead and register. Make sure that you pay close attention to these deadlines because the test is October 23rd, but you have to register like a month in advance. Otherwise, you're gonna have to pay late fees to register, or you might not be able to register at all. So make sure that you keep a calendar with all these dates and the fee waiver. So you're going to have to complete the household data inquire form to be eligible for any fee waivers. So we have those, right?
Yeah, so your families have been sent the HDI. Remember that we have you guys fill it out every year. It's the household data income form. If you have not filled it out, it is very important that you bring that home, get that filled out over this weekend and bring it back because we cannot issue you any fee waivers for applications or if you want to take the ACT or SAT until we get that. That's what qualifies you. Does that make sense? So we're gonna go grab a bunch of forms. We'll hand them out before you guys leave and go back to class. So if you, like, it's very, very important. We won't stop bugging you until you get it done. But this is especially very, very important for seniors, okay?
All right, so we have created a senior year timeline of important dates, upcoming events, college deadlines for you to keep track of all the senior like important dates and deadlines, upcoming to-dos, so that you can mark your calendars, mark your planners, set Gmail reminders. One of the most important ones that I would like to highlight is the fall college workshop happening on Saturday, October 23rd, okay? So why is that one important? You can come in to review college applications, submit college applications, review financial aid applications, and or submit. So that would be the perfect weekend to come in and get your either senior graduation requirements out of the way and or your senior to-dos out of the way.
Okay, everybody understand that? Yeah, so you guys are gonna have a ton of time to get this done. You have all college prep on Fridays. You have Saturday workshops coming up. You can see us in the morning when you're coming in during lunch. We're gonna also do afternoon. Okay, I hear so much side talk, guys. Thank you. And then we're also gonna have some afternoon sessions once the afternoons start opening up for everybody, okay? So there's plenty of time. I don't want anybody here to stress. It is a stressful time, which we'll probably hear from our alumni in a couple weeks about this time. Don't stress, we got you. You just gotta make sure that you come and see us for help. And then some pro tips. Lastly, we're almost done. Oh, wait. Okay. So the biggest thing is please stay organized and manage your time. There's a lot going on your senior year. I get it. You're managing your senior classes, your internship, your college apps, your financial aid. If you have a job, your extracurricular activities, I get it. There's a lot going on, but please manage your time and don't procrastinate. Don't wait till the day of the deadline. If you guys come running up to me November 30th and I have my application, I might not be available. I might not be able to drop everything. So please do not procrastinate. Keep your grades up. This is your senior year. You want to walk across that stage in June, right? Yeah, do you get a big thumbs up for walking across that stage and graduating? Keep your grades up or else you will be very annoyed by us. I guarantee it, because we will not let you fail. Okay? Always check your email. There's a lot of important information going out. This is big. This year, there's going to be a lot of accounts that you're going to create. I would highly, guys, I'm not going to ask you again. You're going to need to keep, like, I would highly recommend keeping like a login log. I have one that's in my Gmail that I put what it is, even the website where I find it, my username and my password. It's probably not the smartest, but have it written down because you're gonna be creating a lot of accounts for financial aid, for schools. And if you come to us and say, I can't get into this application, or I can't get into my financial aid, there's nothing we can do about it. We don't have access to that. You're gonna have to call their support desk or figure out how to get in, okay? Always, this is also big. I want you to go home this weekend, ask your parents or whoever, hey, can you dig out my social security card and my birth certificate if you have one? Because it's very important that you use your legal name on all of these applications. If you have 2 last names on your birth certificate and your social security card, you use 2 last names on all of these applications. Okay, don't just use one. If for some reason, which I've seen before, your birth certificate says one name, your social security card says another, you have to fix that ASAP. And you probably want to go to the social security department or figure out, like, we can help you, but you want to make sure those 2 match. Because when you do your financial aid, that will go to Social Security Administration. If they can't match your name, like let's say I put Strenning on my FAFSA, but I never legally changed my name with Social Security and it's actually Paris, they will never match my application. It'll get kicked back. It'll never go through. Does that make sense? So it's super, super important that every single application, scholarship, financial aid, you're using your legal name. If you go home this weekend and find out, my birth certificate says this, my social security card says this, come and see us and Ms. Carter can talk about, do you want to talk about any name things? She's the one that will help you as well.
Thank you. And also be very mindful of whether or not you have a dash. My kids are named Carter Davis and there's a hyphen. If that hyphen isn't included, that can go out as well. If you have the tilde on your name. Again, they're trying to make a match, and even though your parents may have gone through all kinds of efforts to make your name unique, it probably isn't so unique that it would not come into question. Okay, so that's very, very, very important. And also on your roster, your transcript, your class roster, check now and see how your name is listed on that as well. And even with your teachers and your asking recommendations, please give them your full name. I guess your full name is important, so please use it at all times.
Thank you. Does everybody understand that? I had a student a few years ago, she had 1 last name here, or she had 2 last names here. When she went to college, she used 1 last name. They kept on saying, I don't have your final transcript. I don't have your final transcript. You can't go. And we kept on sending her final transcript until we realized that she was using her 1 last name and we had 2 and they never were able to match that. So then she had to go through all this whole process to be able to change her name on campus. Okay. Another thing, all of your applications, please, please, please come and see one of us and check it before you submit. It's really difficult. There's some questions you may not understand. We're going to be leading a bunch of college workshops that we do line by line. But if you're doing it at home, please just have us review it, especially those CSUs and UCs. You have to self-enter your transcript. It gets confusing. You just want to make sure that it's correct before you press submit, because after you press submit, if you need to make changes, it gets really difficult. Okay. Keep a list. I would start this now if you haven't already, of all the activities you completed in high school. Could be at school, could be not, but you want to brag about yourself. If you don't have anything, but you've been watching your little sisters and brothers for 3 years, because that's what you have to do and you have to tutor them, all of a sudden you're a caregiver and a tutor. Okay, so use what you've done to make sure that you're bragging about yourself, because if you don't have time for activities because you have other responsibilities at the home, use those responsibilities as your extracurriculars. Does that make sense? Okay, and then once you're done with applications, we've already gone through this, you're going to want to submit a screenshot confirmation to us, and we'll give you that information on how you do that. The biggest thing is we're going to treat you as adults, right, until we can't. So the more responsibility, self-discipline, and management you show us, that like you're going to be an adult, because that's what you're going to be next year out there. So please let us treat you as adults and don't let us not. We don't want to treat you as a 5-year-old or a 10th grader. We want to treat you as the adults you are. Okay, make sense? Okay. And then quickly, just some resources. I know you guys know the Google Classroom. Please look on this part right here, the classwork. because that's where everything's listed. We have categories. So if you ask me what scholarships are out there, I'm gonna point you to the Google Classroom or to your email, and you can just go on classwork and look up scholarships. Or you can look up financial aid. There's a bunch of how-to videos that we've put up there. So please use this as a resource, okay? Everybody know how to get there? And then there's Naviance. We'll go through this in depth, but if you need help with like a college search, you can log on Naviance and you can use this super match that's found under like colleges I'm thinking about. You can click on here and then you're gonna be able to find out schools. You can do a super match on your interest. And I'll go through that one class once we have more time. And then next week, we're gonna look ahead. We have a viable plan project. Do you wanna talk about that?
Yes. Yeah, okay, so next week is gonna be really, really fun. I know we did a lot of talking today, but next week we're gonna do some more interactive work. So with all this information that we've given you today, it is your job to take all that information and start thinking about what you want your viable path to look like. Is it an apprenticeship program, 2-year, 4-year, whatever it may be? And what you're gonna do is you're gonna go home and you're going to try to collect anything that you may need for us to do a project next week. So let's say that you want to be a doctor. So you're gonna kind of try to make a symbol that reminds you of a doctor, and you're gonna write what you're gonna be, how you think you're gonna get there, and why you wanna be that thing on that symbol. And then we're going to make a whole like art collage right on the glass windows over there with everybody's viable path. So if you don't have anything from home, that's okay, we're gonna bring supplies, but if you can think of something that you want to make that symbol out of, then go ahead and bring it next week. And be all ready to think about what your viable plan looks like, so that way we can just get right into the project.
Yeah, keep in mind it will be posted, so don't do anything that you want back. But like magazines, you can feel free to bring magazines and make a collage. If like 3 of you want to be nurses, you can go in on the project together and just put all 3 of your names, okay? Does that make sense? It's really on what you want to do and what your path is. We just want to celebrate our seniors and let all of the other underclassmen see what you're gonna do.
Perfect. Okay, any questions? Lots
We
of
talked
information.
A lot, I know, I told you there's a lot of information. That's not even half of what we have to tell you. Any questions? No questions? We answered every single thing you had. Yeah. Okay. Here, let me use this one louder. Okay, so if you don't have any questions, here are the instructions for the last 20 so minutes, okay? You guys listening? Okay, so I'm gonna post on Google Classroom these instructions. The first thing is, I want you to complete this class of 2022 viable plan survey. This survey is just what your plan is right now. We understand these might change, but this is going to give us an idea. Hold on, guys, you're not released yet. You know, we're gonna go back to class and do that, so you don't need to bring your computers out right now, but I'm gonna tell you what you need to do before we release you. Okay. Okay, so the first thing is completing this survey. It's gonna be in your class of 2022 Google Classroom, all of these instructions, okay? You're gonna take some time, complete this survey, because this will really help us understand what we wanna do, so that way we can create our college prep program to meet all of your needs. If we have a lot of people that want to be in the Navy, we're gonna get a Navy guy after your talk too, okay? So it's very important to finish this, so that way that gives us an idea. And we're also gonna be doing individual senior meetings in the like next few weeks, so that will give us an idea of how to guide you and how to help you the best. Understand? After that, if you are done and you still have time, I'm gonna share the slides we just went over. Feel free to check those links, check in any resource that we went over. So that way you can have an idea of what it takes to apply or just get more information. You can research college and careers and programs, create a list that you're going to apply to. You can look at Google Classroom for scholarships and other information. You can work on scholarships. You can start a college application. You can sign up for a webinar that you're interested in. So these are all of the menus until you are dismissed at 103. Does that make sense? Okay. And can you stand in each hallway? So we have these household data income forms. Remember, that's what you need to be able to get a fee waiver.
There's gonna be one person in that hallway and one person in that hallway, so make sure you grab one, bring that home, get that filled out, and bring it back. You can drop it off at the front desk when it's done. Does that make sense? Are there any other questions?